Let's explore a trade scenario that's been circulating involving a player transferring to one team while another player moves in the reverse direction, alongside some draft pick exchanges. This concept is rather fascinating, and I am keen to hear your insights regarding it in the comments. So, let's evaluate if this trade has any potential value. I genuinely value all the support received, and if you appreciate this content, feel free to give the video a thumbs up and think about subscribing if you haven't yet. I'm interested in hearing your opinions about this possible trade, where one player goes to a team and another player goes the other way. Essentially, the proposal entails that one team would obtain a specific selection in the NFL draft, while the other would gain a different selection, facilitating a trade-up. In this case, the initial team would move back, acquiring a fourth-round selection together with the player, while sending the other player to the opposing team. This strategy would enhance the offensive line of the team receiving the player while bringing in an individual who has just 1 year left on his current agreement, which comes with a considerable salary cap number. On the other hand, the other player has a significantly lower cap hit, indicating a notable salary disparity. It is plausible that some financial adjustments might take place, potentially with the receiving team assuming a portion of that contract. Referring to an athlete who has been essential for the team for many years, it's challenging to address his playoff performance, where he faced some drops and fumbles that had a considerable impact. Many fans have expressed criticism, which seems a bit unfair for someone who has been a key contributor. As he approaches 30 next season, he continues to be an excellent tight end. It's crucial to recognize that everyone involved with the team, from the coaching staff to the management, understands his skills, making him an overall valuable asset. He has the potential to become a reliable tight end for what I would estimate to be the next 3 years. Although he is aging, reaching the 30-year mark as the season begins, his performance last season was remarkable, with a total of 55 receptions for 673 yards and 11 touchdowns. He can certainly pose a significant threat in the red zone, an area that requires improvement. Having an athlete like him would undoubtedly expand the target options in that area. Over the years, he has proven his value to the team. In 2021, he had an exceptional season, accumulating 1,361 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 107 receptions, which is impressive for a tight end. However, considering the current roster, there are other players like Conklin and Will Dissly, both competent in pass catching, and I can imagine each contributing around 500 yards individually. However, I'm not entirely convinced that they can be placed on the same level as him. It seems that Conklin might not be able to measure up in this comparison. I'm open to corrections if I'm wrong. Your opinions would be welcome. I do believe, however, that Conklin has the ability to provide similar production while also being a solid blocker. I'm curious to hear your opinion on the trust in the tight ends on the roster, and whether there's a belief that this particular player is truly the tight end needed. As the draft approaches, I tend to lean towards the idea that prioritizing the tight end position may not be as critical, as the current situation seems relatively favorable. At this point, can we see that Mark Andrews could be the tight end we need on our team? With the draft approaching, I'm starting to consider that maybe we shouldn't focus so much on this position. I believe we're solid with Tyler Conklin and Will Dissly, as both have performed their duties effectively. However, the big question is whether we need a long-term solution, and this is where Mark Andrews could fit interestingly. It is expected that the draft will bring a good number of tight ends, with Mason Taylor and Colston Loveland frequently mentioned in relation to our team. There's a significant debate on how to improve the tight end room to provide more options for the quarterback. This is an area that we must evaluate carefully for the future. Could Mark Andrews be the answer? I'm not sure. Regarding Zion Johnson, he's a player that generates a lot of debate. He was a first-round pick a few years ago and has shown decent performance, but I wouldn't consider him exceptional. There's talk about moving him from left guard to center, and since he's in the final year of his contract without the fifth-year option being activated, his future is uncertain. If we decide to move on from him, there are players who could take his place. Andre James could be shifted to center, and Bradley Bozeman has also been considered as an option for left guard. Mike Becton is set as our right guard. Joel Walt will play right tackle. and Rashawn Slater is expected to occupy the left tackle position. It's essential to solidify these key positions for the team. Andre James could easily transition to center, where he performed better. It's interesting to reflect on the possibility of moving on without Zion Johnson, especially when we're looking for effective ways to utilize him. Pipkins is another name that could be considered. We've been working well to foster competition on the offensive line and increase depth, but Zion Johnson's departure could impact that depth. Pipkins is an athlete that truly deserves mention, as the team has been working hard to intensify competition on the offensive line and strengthen the roster. Zion Johnson's departure will definitely affect the depth of the group. It's reasonable to consider Pipkins as a backup at the tackle position, but it doesn't make sense to keep him with a salary cap hit of around $9.2 million. If the idea is to keep him on the roster, it would be more logical to make him a starter. I'm not sure that would be the best move in terms of depth. I'm also not entirely convinced that Trey Pipkins playing left guard would make a substantial difference, nor do I know if that would be the case with Bradley Bozeman. You can't pay $9.2 million to a player and keep him as a backup. It just doesn't make sense. One positive aspect of Trey Pipkins is his adaptability, as he can play any position on the line. The suggestion made by Bill Barnwell to get a first-round pick and return to the 27th spot is quite interesting. If a tight end like Mark Andrews is acquired, it's likely that the team would go for a defensive tackle or defensive end at this stage. With a fourth-round pick, it would be feasible to add another player to the roster, resulting in around 4 or 5 picks in the top 150 if this trade goes through. From my perspective, this wouldn't be a bad idea. The team already has a considerable number of picks, totaling 10, including 4 sixth-round picks, which is quite notable. This opens up the possibility of trying to move up in the draft. But the main question is, does it make sense to part with Zion Johnson? Is acquiring Mark Andrews viable? I'd also like to hear your thoughts on this. Additionally, there are rumors about the possibility of acquiring Dallas Goedert, which seems to involve a late-round pick, possibly a fifth-round pick. Is acquiring Mark Andrews really worth it? I'm curious to know what you think. Moreover, there are speculations about the chance of acquiring Dallas Goedert, possibly involving a late-round pick, perhaps a fifth-round pick, according to the information we have. The question is, between Mark Andrews or Dallas Goedert, who would you prefer on your team? Both will be 30 at the start of the season and have the potential to remain productive for a few more years in the NFL. Which one would you prefer for long-term planning? Ultimately, you'd probably make a trade for these players and sign them to an extension, representing a long-term solution. However, I still believe there are many talented tight ends in this draft who could fit well with the team. I'm not sure if it's more prudent to go for Dallas Goedert or Mark Andrews, considering the amount of young talent that could evolve alongside Justin Herbert over the next 4 or 5 years, depending on the round in which we end up selecting. The situation is intriguing, and I believe the draft will be very active with several trades. The NFL landscape could see a considerable number of moves. Let's see how it unfolds, but I'm eager to hear your opinion. What do you think about the proposed trade by the Chargers to acquire Mark Andrews, sending the 22 pick to the Ravens in exchange for Mark Andrews and Zion Johnson, and receiving back the 27 pick and a fourth-round pick, the 136th? Does that seem reasonable? Or do you prefer the strategy with Dallas Goedert, perhaps trading a late-round pick to get him and securing a player for the next 2 or 3 years? I'm looking forward to hearing your take on this trade proposal, and whether it makes sense or if we should focus on the draft to select a young tight end who could develop alongside Justin Herbert. I would like to delve into the scenario for the upcoming 2 to 3 years, so I'm keen to gather your insights on this proposed trade. Does it seem reasonable in the grand scheme of things, or would it be wiser to concentrate on the draft and pick a young tight end to nurture alongside the quarterback? I am genuinely interested in hearing your views on this topic, so feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. I truly value all the support and enthusiasm from everyone. Now, let's jump into the conversation and get pumped for what's ahead as the buzz around the team keeps building. Sensing the excitement and anticipation in the atmosphere, it's time to harness the momentum and embrace the energy that envelopes us. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Los Angeles Chargers. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Zack Baun, fresh off a championship season and one of the most dominant defensive campaigns in recent memory, may be heading west. Rumors are swirling that the Los Angeles Chargers are making a serious push to acquire the All-Pro linebacker, just weeks after he signed a blockbuster extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. While no official trade has been confirmed, multiple league sources hint at behind-the-scenes negotiations that could shake up the NFL landscape. Baun's rise has been nothing short of meteoric. After 4 solid seasons in New Orleans, his 2024 campaign with the Eagles catapulted him into superstardom. With 15 tackles and 2 sacks in Week 1 alone, and game-changing plays throughout the season, Baun became the centerpiece of a fearsome Philadelphia defense. His impact culminated in a Super Bowl 59 win, where he led the Eagles defensively with a pivotal interception and 7 tackles. But why would Philadelphia consider moving their defensive cornerstone so soon after inking him to a 3-year, $51 million deal? According to insiders, the Eagles are looking to create financial flexibility amid a crowded cap sheet, and the Chargers, desperate to rebuild their defense, are reportedly willing to pay a steep price. The potential deal could involve multiple draft picks and veteran assets, reflecting Baun's elite value. For the Chargers, acquiring Baun would be a game-changer. New head coach Raheem Morris has emphasized building a fast, physical defense, and Baun's ability to read offenses, pressure quarterbacks, and create turnovers fits that vision perfectly. Pairing him with rising stars like Derwin James and Tuli Tuipulotu could instantly elevate Los Angeles into playoff contention. While fans in Philadelphia may be stunned at the prospect of losing a Super Bowl hero, Charger supporters are watching the rumor mill with growing excitement. Could Zack Baun be the missing piece in LA's puzzle? As whispers grow louder, one thing's for sure. If this move happens, it might be one of the most talked about deals of the offseason. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Los Angeles Chargers, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.